Welcome back to another Blue Jackets game review. Feels like the perfect time to be talking about the Blue Jackets right now. I mean, not sure what else the sports world has to talk about right now. I heard about some, maybe some football game that happened the other night, but I guess I'll have to look into that, I suppose. But for now, we're going to get back to the Jackets, as I haven't talked about them in quite a while. They took a 4-2 loss in their first game back after the All-Star break against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's been a painful past couple of weeks for the team, both on and off the ice. Before the All-Star break, you had Adam Boqvist, who just got back from IR in this one. He got hit in the face with a puck just sitting on the bench. It feels like Adam Boqvist is a bit injury-stricken, just can't seem to avoid him lately. Patrick Laine was anticipated to return from injury on that road trip before the All-Star break, but instead he has put himself into the NHL and NHL Players Association assistance program, so best of luck to him to work out whatever he's going through. That's not something you can really put a timetable on, so I feel like just whatever he needs to do to get himself in the best mental shape that he can is definitely what he needs to do. So hopefully he's taking the steps necessary to work on whatever he needs to work on, and just whenever he's ready to get back, that's when he should get back. I don't think that's something you should rush yourself through. Then you had Adam Fantilli. He's going to miss about 8 weeks after he got his calf lacerated, which apparently could have been even worse because he was still wearing those, I think those Kevlar socks that kind of give a little bit of extra protection from stuff like that. But that skate, those are basically knife shoes, so that was still able to cut him pretty bad, so he's going to miss a lot of time there. And most recently, during the game against Tampa Bay, it was Yegor Chinakhov. He was high-sticked in the second period and wasn't returning to this game, and he's not expected to play in the Blue Jackets' next game against the Senators. And in the meantime, the on-ice results haven't been much better for the Columbus Blue Jackets either. In this game against the Lightning, they got out to a real energetic start in this one, which is to be expected where you have the Lightning, who had played 3 games in 4 days, and this was the Blue Jackets' first game back in, about a couple weeks or week and a half or so. However, they weren't really able to convert any of their early chances. You can put that on Andrei Vasilevsky just being the brick wall that he usually is for Tampa, with the Lightning eventually getting their act together in the second half of the first period. You have Nick Paul drawing a 4-minute penalty on Kent Johnson after Kent Johnson high-sticked him and drew blood. And Nick Paul was able to finish what he started, getting that goal and a rebound late in the first period on the power play. Beginning of the second period didn't start any better for Columbus, with Cirelli getting loose on a breakaway, putting one past Elvis for the 2-0 score. The Jackets, again, they were making some pretty good pushes in this one. I mentioned their good first period. I think that they responded well to being down 2-0, trying to get one to make it a bit of a tighter game. Just for whatever reason, they weren't able to capitalize on a lot of the chances they created for themselves, whether it was Boone Jenner just not being fast enough on a breakaway, or a 2-on-1, I believe, with Cole Sillinger and Alexander Texier that they really couldn't connect on, and I don't think they got a shot off on that one either. Whether it was Andrei Vasilevsky making a really good save, I know he had one on Zach Werenski that robbed him of a goal, or sometimes the Jackets would just hit a pipe, or they just be a split second off in terms of their communication. Sometimes Tampa Bay's defense would just be doing a really good job of making sure that those prime rebounds just weren't available for a Blue Jackets player to pounce on. At the end of the second period, the Tampa Bay Lightning would get a power play after a scuffle involving Severson, after Radish got physical with Johnny Gaudreau. You can talk about the officiating maybe being a bit harsh on the Blue Jackets on that one, but I do feel like there were instances for both teams where they could complain about the officiating. I think the ref show is just kind of a bit sloppy all around in this game. They were still on that power play to start the third, the Lightning were, and it was Stamkos with the one-timer that got past Elvis, 3-0 for the Lightning. So at this point, the air kind of got out of the building, felt like a little hopeless, but then the Jackets did make things interesting, with Boone Jenner getting not 1 but 2 deflection goals, with the Blue Jackets broadcast putting up a pretty funny graphic saying that it was his 3rd career multi-goal game this season. So I'm not really sure if it was for his career or this season, but I guess it's technically correct, where in this season, it is his 3rd career multi-goal game if you just count this season. So you had Johnny Gaudreau getting assists on both of those goals. Johnny Gaudreau actually had a really, really good game, set up a lot of opportunities. He could have had a ton more assists if the other Blue Jackets players were able to sort of capitalize on those chances. But that allowed Columbus to go empty net eventually to maybe tie the game, but then kind of an Adam Boqvist turnover / pass to no one led to Hagel scoring on the empty net. Kucherov had 2 assists as well, keeping him in the NHL scoring lead, getting a couple more points against the lowly Jackets if you look at the standings and just how their season has gone so far. Just a sort of a same old result for the Blue Jackets. I mean, yes, they had really good stretches of play, but there have been times this season where they have been competitive against some really good teams, but for whatever reason, they can't capitalize on their opportunities, and their opponents usually make them pay for it on the other end of the ice. Again, certainly some things to like out of the Jackets in this game. The Yegor Chinakhov injury definitely sucks because it feels like Chinakhov has been kind of, he's having a real breakout stretch of hockey this year, where I felt like, I believe he got some injury early on, but he came back and he's just been really playing very well ever since. Had a spot on the top line. He certainly deserved it, but hopefully he's not out for too long. I don't think that they plan on him being out for any sort of prolonged period of time, but he's definitely going to miss the game against Ottawa. And the Jackets, they do have a bit of an easier schedule coming up. Only one opponent is right now competing for a playoff spot, and that is the LA Kings. The 4 out of the next 5 games is just kind of against teams that are near the bottom of the standings, where the Jackets kind of are. And while a stretch of wins for Columbus wouldn't really do anything in terms of the actual where they are at this point in the season, right? The playoffs are essentially a lost hope. It was a lost hope about 20 games ago. But if this core is the one that the organization wants to have moving forward and build around at this point, they're going to have to learn to win games, not just one here or there. They're going to have to learn how to win consistently. And if some of the games against some of the other bottom dwelling teams in the NHL kind of gets them there, then I'll take it. I'm not going to be rooting super heavy for the tank like I was last year, because this year's draft isn't quite as strong as last year's was. And honestly, again, I only have one of those years for a while, like in my heart, to be like, yeah, I hope the Jackets lose as much as possible so they can get a higher draft pick. I know that might be technically like the best input-output for the Jackets this season. Well, if they can't make the playoffs, they might as well just lose to get the highest pick possible. But I do feel like this core eventually does need to learn how to win and how to win consistently, and hopefully some inklings of that can start in the second half of this season. But that'll do it for me in this video. You can let me know what you think about this game down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't make it this far into it, feel free to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more like it. I will see you at the next one.